Today's topic covers stress management, particularly 4 strategies to tackle stress and prioritize your self-care today. This video workshop is through the Counseling and Psychological Services office at the IU Health Center. We are located on the 4th floor. Our phone number is 812-855-5711 if you'd like to get in touch with us, or you can follow us on any of our social media platforms at IU Health Center. We are on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Today's video is going to function almost identical to how our typical live workshops function. So what that means is you're going to need about 45 to 50 minutes available to be able to go through the video, as well as to pause the video and record your responses to the journal prompts listed. The reason we choose to do journal prompts is we think it's important for you to be able to focus on your own individual experience surrounding the various topics and questions provided, to be able to start writing down and addressing those barriers, as well as giving you something to really take home from today's presentation. So our hope is that it gives you something to think about and starts increasing your insight on your individual experience. Due to having journal prompts, you are going to need something to write with. That could be a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper, or if you prefer, you can utilize the notes section of your phone or type your responses into a Word doc on your computer. So for today, I'm hoping that we are able to determine some good strategies to addressing stress while increasing our ability to engage in self-care. So we're going to start exploring our own symptoms of stress and our available coping strategies, discuss personal barriers to stress and a little bit of time management, and then explore 4 main self-care strategies to utilize today. I enjoy starting out a lot of these presentations with a little bit of comedic relief by having a funny comic. So if you can see here, I think everybody has been able to relate to this in some capacity. Feeling like once we get pulled up from our stress, then we are just pushed back down by something that we might have forgotten or something else that just comes up on our to-do list. It is kind of this never-ending cycle. If it's not one thing, it's something else. Once we're not stressed about this paper, we're typically stressed about another. There might be a couple of days or even a week in between, but usually something else cycles over. So I like to use this particular chart to being able to start understanding your stress in general, because I think it does a really great job focusing on how stress can have an impact on our performance overall, but acknowledging that a lot more people spend more time in this orange and red section than they do the green or the yellow. And that fine line between peak performance and slipping back down into distress is very, very slight. So being able to really stay at that peak performance where we have optimal stress, we're feeling focused rather than fatigued and overloaded and exhausted, is very difficult. I would argue that more often than not, you're probably spending time in that fatigued, exhausted, angry, panicked, burnt out section than you are feeling healthy motivation. Now, the levels or what can cause us to shift over to one side over the other is going to be different for everybody. Now, it is also important to mention that chronic and extreme stress can lead to other mental health concerns like anxiety, depression, as well as chronic burnout. It can have pretty significant effects on us. So it is important to start questioning, where do you spend more of your time on this chart, and what contributes to you spending probably more time in the red or the orange zone than in the healthy, motivated zone? I want you to start thinking about, how do you know if you're feeling out of balance or stressed out? What are those physical, emotional, or relational symptoms? And what situations tend to make you feel most stressed out and why? It might be school or things specific to school, work, social activities, or anything related. Pause the video for time to record your answers, and when you're ready, you can press play to continue. I really like this chart, which I created because I think it does an excellent job really pointing out the different domains of our stress exhaustion symptoms. So take a look at this and encourage which of these symptoms make an appearance most during the busy or more stressful seasons of your life. If you enjoy this slide, you are able to take a photo of it or a screen grab to be able to come back to it. Most individuals I find through using this this worksheet in individual therapy or in different presentations is most people focus on the physical symptoms of stress. And through using this, they notice, wow, there's a lot of symptoms that I didn't otherwise realize were signs of stress. Take note of those too. Perhaps you weren't aware of the spiritual or the relational implications. You just spent a lot more time focusing on the physical ones. So what is that experience like? What makes an appearance for you? Again, before we start really focusing on our coping strategies, I do want to bust some myths related to stress, just because these are some common things that people might come in believing about stress. And if we have limiting beliefs related to stress, it can greatly impact the likelihood that we are going to intervene and cope with it in an appropriate and effective way. First myth is that all stress is bad stress. This is not true. We can become stressed out about positive things too. And sometimes stress can be good. Like we noted on that chart, there are some levels of stress that might feel healthy. Having that little bit of fire underneath us to complete an activity might feel like it is helpful. And we can also become stressed out about positive things. That's why, like, planning weddings, even though that's a beautiful moment in someone's life, can be exceptionally stressful because you're navigating deadlines, other people's opinions, so on and so forth. Or you might be really excited about going home for the holidays, but are stressed out about what that might look like, having to navigate to seeing everybody you love. So we can become stressed out about really positive things too. Other myths are no symptoms of stress means that we're not stressed. Perhaps that's more no obvious symptoms of stress might make us believe that we're not stressed, but stress can come up even if we are physically symptom free. So that's why it is vitally important that you spend some time focusing on what are some other less known symptoms of stress for you that could be indicators that it is time to engage in your strategies. And then only major severe symptoms of stress are harmful. Again, that's not the case because we find that stress is harmful because it is chronic and because it is intense. So perhaps you experience low to medium levels of chronic stress, so you're stressed all the time. That can have an impact on us too and be harmful. This is a longer subset of journal questions, but I really find that it is important to start digging into understanding what your red flag symptoms are, as well as what it takes away from you and how it's become normalized, because we want to start breaking down what our individual experiences look like. So take some time to answer the following questions. What are some of your red flag stress exhaustion symptoms? How has stress become normalized in your life? How do you make preventative care for stress relief more of an integral part of your collegiate experience? And what does stress take away from you and your overall experience? Take time to journal your responses, and when you're ready, you can press play to move on. So now we're going to start moving into the self-care side of things. And I want to first and foremost bust a myth about self-care. So self-care is not me sitting here telling you to go get a hobby. Instead, I encourage you to spend some time reframing how you view self-care. Can you view self-care instead as a practice that promotes action and responsibility for your individual needs to care for, increase, and/or sustain your overall emotional, physical, and mental health? I want you to start viewing self-care as essential. Now, I think most people have very different views of self-care. In fact, it's become pretty desensitized right now because there's such a movement like bubble baths, rosé all day. Many of you, I'm sure, are nodding or chuckling or rolling your eyes because you have seen this out there. And be mindful of those reactions. Those reactions might tell you some critical information about how you view self-care, and then therefore how that view of self-care might be getting in your way of actually engaging in it. As a result, self-care is typically last on your ever-expanding to-do list, and it is often the first thing to be kicked off. We typically do not do a very good job viewing self-care as being a vital thing for us to do. And so I want us to start thinking of self-care different, because it is very vital to promoting action and responsibility of taking care of ourselves. So we are going to start discussing the 4 strategies to implement self-care today. And these are going to be quite different than the typical way that we discuss stress management, self-care in general. So I encourage, if you are looking for the pretty typical self-care stress management strategies like deep breathing, exercise, nutrition, to utilize one of our other related stress management videos, this is going to focus on more implementation ways to engage in self-care. The first strategy is called just 10 minutes. And so what this focuses on is really breaking down that limiting belief that you need ample time to take care of yourself. Often, I imagine that when you're thinking of something you want to do to take care of yourself, you immediately have the automatic thought, I just don't have the time to do it. Again, one of the largest beliefs is that we need to have ample time built in our day to adequately engage in self-care, like having an hour to exercise every day, having a weekly massage, reading a full-on novel. If that is your belief, it is going to get in the way of your ability to take care of yourself regularly. So I want you to think, does it truly need to involve multiple hours a day? Instead, what would it be like for you to spare just 10 minutes on yourself every single day? To break this down, what we're going to do is really focus on what is one current self-care strategy you wish you had time for. So this can be the strategy that you typically take off your list because you don't have enough time for it. And then question, how can you turn it into just 10 minutes? It's going to take some manipulation and altering to make it happen, and that's okay. How have you seen 10 minutes alter the course of your day before, either positively or negatively? The reason that I encourage people to focus on this is often when I try to teach this strategy, I do get eye rolls. And I will encourage people to think about the answer to this, because I can promise you it's happened. You've been having a wonderful day, and then all of a sudden you get a grade back on a presentation and it's not what you expected, and your day immediately plummeted. That single experience changed the course of your emotional experience regarding your day very quickly. Just like you might be having a really crummy day and you get an excellent grade, and that changes it quickly too. So I want this to be able to expand your belief that taking care of yourself for 10, 15 minutes a day can also be very helpful. And then where in your day do you have 10 extra minutes to spare for yourself? And before you start thinking, I can't come up with any ways to just take care of myself in 10 minutes, I'm going to just briefly come up with a couple. It could be listening to a 10-minute podcast episode. It could be doing a 10-minute deep breathing activities, 10 minutes of light stretching, 10-minute walk around the block or the neighborhood. You could talk with someone on the phone for 10 minutes, have 10 minutes of quiet time drinking your coffee. The lists are endless, although it will take some manipulation of the activity, as you would typically like to do that. So spend some time, journal your responses, press pause to do so, and then when you're ready, press play, and we can continue. The next strategy is optimization. And now this is basically the direct opposite of the one that I spoke about before. And the reason that I want you to think about how you can also optimize this strategy is it is really important to have an optimized version of it in your back pocket. That way we know when I absolutely need it, I have a way that I know I can adequately and accurately take care of myself. This is the most optimized and ideal way for me to engage with this strategy. So it can be very helpful to have this scheduled in after the most distressing periods of time. So peeking at your calendar, saying, when will I need this optimization or optimized version of self-care most? And implementing that in right away. Put that in your calendar so you know that it's there for you. And this is specifically there for when just 10 minutes isn't enough. When we think about optimizing, the way that I encourage people to do it is focus on the following points. versus location. So what is the most engaging, energizing, or relaxing location for you to do this activity in? If the activity you're thinking about is exercise, you might realize that you prefer certain trails to run on or walk on, or you like doing certain types of classes more than others. You might not like spin classes and you much prefer yoga. And you might prefer specific yoga studios or specific yoga teachers. Get really specific. Then what's the time of day that is most optimal for that activity? Perhaps you, again, focusing on exercise, prefer to work out midday rather than at the end of your day or in the morning. Okay, when you are trying to optimize this, can you make sure that this includes the specific time of day? Same with length of time. So unlike the just 10 minutes, you can sit here and think, all right, what is the most optimal length of time? What is going to really fill my cup up the most when I need it? So really setting aside that amount of time to make sure that you are getting the most out of this activity. And then last but not least, and maybe the most important, is people. So take a look at your support system and address if inviting them into this self-care activity will help or hurt you. There might not be anything worse than realizing, okay, my most ideal self-care strategy is taking a book or a coloring book to my favorite coffee shop and just making an afternoon of it. And you decide that you want to invite a friend along. And instead that friend chooses to take that time to talk about everything that's stressing them out in their lives. And you leave what should have been an optimal self-care day feeling more stressed out, anxious, suddenly thinking about everything on your to-do list. This really encourages you to gain insight about the most optimal ways to take care of yourself and ensure that you find ways to build that into your schedule too. To focus on this, I want you to start journaling. What is a self-care activity that you do or wish you could do, and determine what is the most optimal location for you to do the activity in, optimal length of time of day, and then what is keeping you from engaging in this activity the way you need it most. Also spend some time, it's not listed here, thinking about who you would want to invite in, if anybody, into that activity. And you might realize, nope, I don't want to invite anybody in. That's okay too. Press pause to record your responses, and when you're ready, you can press play and move on. Tip 3 might be one of the most important tips because this involves a habit. And when we think of a habit, just by definition, we know that it's a regular tendency. So it's something that's built into your day that's hard to give up. It's like brushing your teeth or washing your face at nighttime in the morning. It could even be biting your nails if you've been trying to give that up for a long time. Typically, however, we don't see self-care and stress management techniques as being viewed the same. They're actually pretty easy for people to give up. You know, we've all been there. We've become overwhelmed by our week, surprised by tasks that we forgot were on our to-do list. And then what we do is we give away our time to take care of ourselves to make space for our to-do list. So we're actually making more space for stress, and we're making less room for the techniques and strategies that we need to be able to manage and reduce that stress, to be able to put our best selves forward. So I want us to think about how we can utilize habit as a way to ensure that we are actually engaging in self-care techniques on a regular basis. So the way that I encourage people to do this is to, first of all, reframe their thinking. So if you are sitting here hoping and waiting that time to take care of yourself will just magically appear, especially during the busiest weeks, know that it's not going to. That's not going to be possible. You need to actually create the time for it, because it's not going to magically appear at the times where you can't find time to begin with. So instead, sit down and schedule it out. Pull out your calendar, your phone app, and create designated times for these activities. Make sure that your schedule is reflecting your needs, values, and goals, and your needs from an academic, career standpoint, as well as your needs from just an interpersonal and self-care standpoint too. The second is schedule an accountability partner. I think that it is far more difficult to say no to others than it is to say no to ourselves. So really think about surrounding yourself with people who are encouraging you to take care of yourself, who might be encouraging you to put down the work and get some sleep because they know you're going to come back to it when you're better and refreshed tomorrow. Those are the people who we're wanting to surround ourselves with right now. So start identifying who in your life can hold you accountable for taking and prioritizing self-care. The third is plan for difficult and stressful weeks ahead. So this is really important. We might have typical self-care scheduled in and then fail to look at how we're going to make adjustments if something busy comes up on our calendar. So you need to make those adjustments right now. If you know that you're entering finals and midterm weeks, sit down and ask yourself, where am I still going to include self-care? You're going to have to be flexible with it, and it's a perfect opportunity to include just 10 minutes. But instead of just not including it at all because you're not able to do it in the way you typically do, make those adjustments right now so you know that they're there and ready for you during those busy and stressful weeks. I want you to journal the following answers. Think about a self-care activity you do or wish you could do and determine what misuse of your time could be better directed to self-care? Who is most likely to help hold you accountable for self-care? How does your current schedule reflect your needs? And how can you use planning as an asset to anticipate difficult weeks ahead? Take time, record your responses, and when you're finished, you can press play to move on. Tip 4 is also exceptionally important. And the reason that I say this is that none of these strategies are going to work if you are not present and intentional in them. If you are just wishing your self-care activities away so you can get back to work, they are not going to have the same effect that they will as if you are actually sitting there enjoying them and being fully present. So if you're just waiting for your run to be over so you can get back and finish your paper or get back to work, how effective can your run actually be at refilling your cup? So your mindset is vitally important. This is why it is very important that you spend some time thinking about what those limiting beliefs are surrounding self-care and stress management and just stress in general, and question how that can impact you and the effectiveness of self-care at all. So this is why reframing those thoughts is really necessary. So I encourage you to remember that prioritizing your self-care reminds yourself of your own worth and importance. It reminds yourself that you are worth taking care of in general and can help remind other people too that you have needs. So it is very important. Ways to increase intentionality includes reminding yourself that you're doing this to take care of yourself rather than to feel better because someone on a video told you to do so. That can be very helpful. If we're expecting that we're going to leave magically feeling a million times better, and if that doesn't happen, that can really discourage us and make us not want to come back and do that activity in the future. So taking off the expectation just allows us to enjoy the activity as it is. The second is ensure your full engagement in the activity. So ground yourself to the here and the now. If you find your mind wandering, thinking about everything you have to do, utilize your senses. If you are trying yoga, can you feel your feet on the mat? Can you focus on your breath? What do you notice around the room surrounding you? Really utilize your senses to ground yourself to that present moment. And then if none of that works, or if you just want to use this too, be intentional about what is already built into your day. If you can't find space to take care of yourself, can you be intentional with the activities that are already available and just view them different? What I mean by that includes things like, if you said that taking a hot shower is a great self-care activity, how many showers do you take a week that you don't enjoy for self-care? Those are options available to you that just through a subtle mindset shift, by focusing on the moment, you can enjoy them and experience them different. Same with coffee. I use this example all the time. I love coffee, and I have a radically different morning if I get to sit and just enjoy my coffee rather than drinking it when I'm in a therapy session, on the go to work, or while I'm getting ready. It's the same experience, it's just enjoyed differently. I want you to answer the following questions. What self-care strategies are already built into your day that you may be missing? What self-care strategies are not being used to their full potential, and what is one way you can ground yourself to the present moment. Pause the video for time to record your answers, and when you're ready, press play to continue. Now, you might be realizing that through this presentation that you're needing a bit more. There could still be an increase in other mental health related symptoms like depression, anxiety, reduced academic, social, or other functioning, changes to sleep, appetite, hygiene. Your red flags might be going off. Or, of course, if there's any thoughts of suicide, harm to others, or harm to self, those are all good indicators that additional services are needed. And CAPS, the Counseling and Psychological Services Office, is here to help. We have a lot of various services. I encourage you to always utilize our website to get the most up-to-date information about what services we are providing and any changes to them. We're typically open Monday through Friday, 8 until 4:30 p.m. for typical appointments as well as emergency appointments as well. When our office is physically open, we always have emergency walk-in appointments. So if that is something you are experiencing, it's a crisis, you need to talk with someone immediately, you are able to walk in and see someone quickly. If you're not able to get there, or if it's after hours, you have access to our crisis line by dialing 812-855-5711 and select option 1, and that's available 24 hours, 7 days a week. You also dial that same phone number, but don't select option 1 if you are wanting to schedule an initial therapy appointment. We offer individual, couples, and group counseling. If you are already connected with a provider, you can utilize that number to get scheduled, or if you're a first-time client, you can use that number to get scheduled too. All of our students get registered for a 30-minute initial appointment where they work with a counselor to discuss what's bringing them in, and then from there you create a game plan regarding what you're needing moving forward. Sometimes that appointment is all a student needs, or it can just be the start of what they're needing as well. So we hope that that can be functional for you on multiple levels. We also have free drop-in options. So if you are needing something sooner than you can get in, but it's not a crisis, we'll talk about what we have available for that in the next couple of slides. So as sexual assault counseling, other free workshops, we have Monday Motivators, mindfulness, and other online workshops, both video and live, which are very similar to this one. As mentioned, we have our Let's Talk program. If we focus on just the Let's Talk now, this is what I was talking about when I mentioned the drop-in options. Again, use our website to get the most accurate, up-to-date information about what we do and do not have available just by going to www.go.iu.edu/letstalk. Let's Talk Now are free, informal, brief consultations for any IU student. So this is a great place to go if you need to come in sooner and if it's not a crisis. You can sit down. You have about 30 minutes to talk with an actual counselor about whatever you're needing. No appointment is necessary. Come when you need to, leave when you don't. And if that's all you need, great. And if you're wanting to get connected to additional resources, they can help you. These services are located in other offices on campus. So the Let's Talk Now program is not occurring for those drop-in options at CAPS at this time. Again, check the website for the most up-to-date information. Typical locations include Student Academic Center, Hudson Holland, and the LGBTQ Culture Center. Let's Keep Talking is our way to reach students of other cultural groups. So this offers formal counseling targeted at serving our traditionally underserved students. These are available in, again, multiple locations on campus, typically all of our cultural offices, as well as our Group Scholars Building, Office of International Services, DEMA, and etc. So if you identify with any of these cultural centers, I encourage you to give CAPS a call and ask specifically to get scheduled there, and you will be able to work with one of our counselors at that location. We have an extension of CAPS titled the Sexual Assault Crisis Services. These counselors are specially trained in trauma-informed care and working with individuals who have experienced sexual violence. So if any of the above are a reason that is contributing to why you're coming to CAPS, I encourage you to let the individual know, say that you'd like to schedule an appointment with SACS, and they will do that. Or if you're not comfortable or if you're not sure, you can bring that up at your initial appointment, at your initial 30-minute appointment, and that counselor will ensure that they get you connected with the right resource. These services are all free and they include individual, couples, and group counseling, support groups, psychiatry care, and then information and assistance with medical, judicial, or legal issues. They also have their own after hours crisis line. Please know that this is different at this time from CAPS's line. You can dial it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 812-855-8900. And all of our services are available for all genders and identities. Last but not least, not affiliated with CAPS, but another available service on IU's campus is the Center for Human Growth. The best way to get the most up-to-date and accurate information is to utilize their website. You can just go to that link above. This is located in the School of Education. Their phone number is 812-856-8300. So they are a little bit different than CAPS. At this time, they do not have psychiatry care, but they do still offer individual and couples counseling. They do have evening hours, which makes it wonderfully accessible and accommodating, and the cost is really effective too. You're able to pay what you can afford, and your first session is always free. So if this sounds like it would be of interest to you or more helpful for your schedule, view their website to get the up-to-date information and call the number to get scheduled. Just want to end with a couple of additional suggestions. I encourage you to remember, again, that self-care is more than just adding activities into your schedule that promote a more holistic sense of wellness. So if you're feeling overwhelmed with trying to add, I want you to remember that self-care can be other things. It can be learning to set boundaries, it can be learning to identify and challenge those negative thinking patterns, how you're talking to yourself, removing any of those self-depleting or defeating activities from your day. So perhaps you can't add something in, but can you take something out that's not benefiting you? And then using more positive and uplifting language with yourself and others. Those can all be very effective in terms of being able to adequately take care of yourself and manage your stress effectively. That is all that we have for the presentation today. Again, you can be reminded that if you're needing anything else, you can access CAPS by calling 812-855-5711.